General Flynn, when I interviewed you last year, you said the US had put too much investment in conflict. You said the more bombs we drop, that just fuels the conflict. But now, basically, the official Republican candidate about to be, Donald Trump, says he wants to bomb the hell out of ISIS, although he used a different word to hell that we can't use. You've apparently advised Donald Trump on foreign and defense policy. Do you really think Mr. Trump, who has zero experience of international affairs, who's confused Iran's Quds force with the Kurds?
He hasn't
worked in foreign policy. I think that's fair.
He's got a lot of
business experience.
He sees the world from the perspective of a global businessman, and he's been working around.
But he hasn't worked in defense and foreign policy. I think that's fair to say.
Foreign policy is a more complicated.
In an interview, he confused Hamas and Hezbollah. He confused Iran's Quds force with Iraq's Kurds. Yep. How do you think he's qualified to be commander-in-chief as someone who served under the commander-in-chief?
I think that where I believe, first of all, I don't agree with everything that he said, but he's an individual who's willing to take on a challenge. The other aspect is there must be more precision in the use of the language that he uses as the potential leader of the free world. There has to be more precision, and those are the types of pieces of advice that I'm trying to get into him, to say, be more precise, be more conscious about what you say about foreign policy issues, because they are complicated. I mean,
it's not just precision. He said specific things like he wouldn't have a problem with the U.S. pulling out of NATO, and NATO. You presumably you don't support that.
I think so. I think what he does is, and I think you have to read into this. You have to look at this guy and say, okay. In fact, read his book, The Art of the Deal. Start really, really high and really, really hard, okay, and then be prepared to get down to where you think you can actually negotiate.
But even if starting off high is saying things that are potentially illegal, he's talked about killing the families of terror suspects. You've interrogated insurgent leaders in Iraq. Presumably, if the order came down from you, from the commander-in-chief, saying kill their families, you would disobey that order. That's what Michael Hayden, the former CIA chief, said.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to.
Would you disobey that order?
We won't see orders like that, because he won't give orders.
But
like
he said he would. He said he would.
The other part about Donald Trump is, I think, what he's got a very good instinct on is the people that he chooses to have around him, and allows to have this kind of a debate to be able to come to the right decision. And I think that what we've not seen, because of the madness of our political system. I appreciate
the point about the madness debate, but just to be clear, you're a former senior U.S. general. You've interrogated insurgent leaders.
Right.
He said that he would bring back immediately waterboarding and much worse interrogation techniques.
Yeah.
When I interviewed you, you said that you oppose such techniques. It would be something that history would look back on. We will be held accountable for.
Yeah, we will be held accountable.
Do you want to bring back waterboarding?
Tactically, we can interrogate very effectively with the rules that we have currently in place, and I think that those are the things that a President Trump would re-examine and relook. So I'm not.
Just to be clear, you wouldn't waterboard. You wouldn't be in favour of water. I'm just trying to get your perspective here.
I wouldn't. I'm never. I'm going to be a bit unpredictable here with you, Mehdi, because I am a believer in leaving as many options on the table right up until the last possible minute. Right up until the last possible minute. Because once you give up an option, once you say a red line and you don't allow, and then you don't follow through on that red line.
The law is a red line. Would you kill the family of a terror suspect? Yes or no?
Waterboarding was legal.
Okay, would you kill the family of a terror suspect? Yes or no?
I would have to see what the circumstances of that situation was.
Are you kidding me?
I would have to see the circumstances of that situation.
What circumstances would justify the killing of a family, a wife and a child?
It would have to be the circumstances that we were facing at the time.
What are those circumstances? I'm trying to understand what those circumstances are.
The circumstances could be. I mean, it could be somebody like an Omar al-Baghdadi. Let's say he's still alive, and we find him in a place where it's very difficult to get into, and he is actually using children to protect himself. So what do we do? How do we actually go get him if killing him is better than capturing him? So we have to make these very
between quote-unquote collateral damage, bad as that is,
these are political decisions.
Targeting the family of an insurgent leader.
These are very difficult political decisions that have to be made.
Some would say illegal. Michael Hayden, who's not a dove.
Yeah, he's not.
CIA director. He says it would be incumbent upon generals to disobey that order. You're saying you disagree with him?
I would say that if you disagree an order of the President of the United States, then you have an obligation to tell the President why you disagree.
Yep.
And if he still tells you to go execute, then you have a responsibility, a personal responsibility, to step away from it and say, nope.
But you wouldn't on this issue.
You're going to have to direct somebody else to do it.
You wouldn't on this issue.
I would not advise. I would advise differently. I would advise far more precisely in some of the things that we are doing, and frankly, some of the things that we're hearing being said. Even about, I'm writing a book on radical Islamism. I'm trying to be very precise because I don't think every single Muslim in the world wants to kill the other 7 billion people in the world.
I'm glad you say that, because a tweet you put out in February, you said fear of Muslims is rational. You didn't say radical Islamists or terrorists. You said fear of Muslims is rational. It sounded very Trump-esque. Do you stand by that? Are you afraid of me?
And look at the rest of it. Take the whole thing. Take
the rest of the quote is fear of Muslims is rational. Please forward this to others. The truth fears no questions. Because of the article that it was about. It was a video that you were sharing.
And so what we have to do is we have to make sure that we understand what it is that we are facing, what it is that you're facing. The number of Muslims being killed by these guys are unbelievable.
So why are you saying to be fear of all Muslims?
I'm not saying to be fear.
You said fear of Muslims is rational.
I'm not.
So are you afraid of me? Is what I'm asking.
I'm not saying that.
You said it.
You have to, but look at the context of that particular tweet and the video
clarify
that was
for
about.
Our viewers, you're not afraid of Muslims in general.
No.
Okay, good to know.
No. And otherwise, you and I'd be wrestling right now.
That's what I was confused about, and you'd probably win, which is why I should be afraid of you. Trump's ban on Muslim immigrants. You support that as an advisor?
Yes. What I support is that we must understand where these individuals are coming from. So we've always been a nation of immigrants. We're a nation built upon immigration. So I'm a product of it, a couple of generations removed, but I'm a product. So we know that the Islamic State has stated we need to infiltrate into these populations going into Europe and elsewhere around the world.
Yep.
And so we're going to do that. So we can't just suddenly take 1,000 people.
But a blanket ban on Muslim immigrants is what Donald Trump proposed.
Yeah, I think that we have to be cautious about where the people are coming from. Where are they coming
General,
from?
do you support that ban? Then you are. I have to leave. I'm a Muslim immigrant to the U.S. right now, as of this moment.
What I support is the vetting of individuals and the proper screening of individuals who are coming from certain parts of the world, like Syria. So if you're coming out of Syria. And frankly, we have... So in specific countries, you don't support a blanket ban? Yeah, because we have Muslims coming from all over the world.
So you disagree with Donald Trump. And when Michael Hayden, the former CIA chief, says on this show, he said that Trump's rhetoric on Muslims is so incendiary, so divisive, he's acting as a recruiting...
I don't agree with that.
He's acting as a recruiting sergeant for ISIL.
No, I disagree.
He's appeared in al-Shabaab and ISIL recruitment videos.
Sure,
you know that, don't you?
Oh, yeah, I do.
Why do you think that is?
And there's been plenty others who have appeared. So I go back to what I liken it to be is President al-Sisi, the president of Egypt's statement back in a little over a year ago at Al-Azhar Mosque in Cairo. His point was, do we expect the 1.6 billion Muslims of the planet to kill the rest of the planet? No. But we have a problem. We have a problem inside of this political system that's based on Islam. It is a political ideology based on Islam. And so we have a problem. We, collectively, the world has a problem, not just the Muslim community.
So when everyone, left, right, Republican, Democrat, Muslim, non-Muslim, pretty much is saying Donald Trump's rhetoric is Islamophobic, it's bigoted, you don't agree?
No, I don't agree.
When he says that Islam hates us, ban Muslims from coming in the country, tells stories about...
Be precise about the language.
Be precise about your bigotry.
Yeah, be precise about the language that you're using to say what Donald Trump
And that's what you're telling him.
Yep. Be precise. Be very precise about what it is that you're going to say, because there's a lot of Muslims in this country that would vote for a guy if he didn't
compare Syrians to snakes, if he didn't say that he wants to put a database to register all Muslims in America. That's what he proposed.
What he's talking about is these radical Islamists. That's not
what he's saying, though, is it?
I think I know what he is describing is this vicious, barbaric enemy that we are facing, that are raping young boys and girls, raping women.
That's ISIL.
Beheading, burning them in acid.
Killing Muslims.
Killing
other Muslims.
Dumping gas. That's right.
And yet he's
not
attacking
just
all
other Muslims. Christians.
And he's attacking...
Christians.
Indeed, but other Muslims.
Jews.
And he's attacking all Muslims.
He's attacking...
Shouldn't you be stopping him from doing that as an advisor?
He's attacking that group that's doing that. And he's saying to the rest of the Muslim world, essentially, come to grips with this and help. We need your help.
Would you accept a position in a Donald Trump administration? Defense Secretary, Homeland Security?
Not after this conversation. You know what, Mehdi? I love to serve this country, and I've loved to serve it in a variety of ways. I personally would have to really understand what it was that somebody wanted me to do. And I believe that we have some massive challenges that we're facing. And as I said in other times that we've talked, I believe that we invest far too much in conflict and not enough in stability.